This morning, part 4 of our series, The Big Picture. We continue our trek through the Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. Yesterday, myself, Kristen Ojanimi, and Cindy Baker said goodbye to one of our crew, Teal Rintala. Her blisters had simply become too much. She went home. Our group of 4 was now 3. Walking her out to the parking lot also allowed us to see a very heavily trafficked part of the Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. The impacts to the trail at Chapel Rock are visible this morning in part 4. The effort by the National Park Service to get a handle on what's happening, the solution we found may take a bit of time. When we decided to hike Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore, we did it early to beat the crowds. And it worked. The trails we were on were quiet. We had the majority of our views to ourselves. Even the day we visited Miners Castle was quiet. It was closed for upgrades to the sanitation system. But this is not the norm, not anymore. Visitor numbers are up from 400 to 500,000 visitors in 2014 to 1.3 million in 2021. With a jump like that, the impacts and the problems are inevitable.
A big thing is the trails have widened. Lots and lots of social trails. Social trails are where people make their own trails. Our parking lots were not able to handle the number of people coming here, so our parking, the lots are stayed the same, but people are parking further and further away, including on the road shoulders, just widening everything out.
In some instances, visitors are parking 2 miles away from the trailhead. And with vehicles on both sides of the road, Reese says at times it's impossible to get emergency response vehicles through. She also says the park's budget is the same as it was in 2014. And while the 20 permanent staff and 30 seasonal employees do what they can only do so much.
We're a small park and with small staff and just trying to be able to keep up with record visitations.
But a new entrance fee may change what the Park Service is able to do. Before we took off on our trip, we bought a Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore Recreation Pass. That will cost you $10 for 7 days. We hung ours in our window. The money collected from this fee will be used to increase the visitor experience.
It'll go toward things like our trails, maintaining our campgrounds, maintaining visitor centers, all the comfort stations, all the bathrooms in the park. Anything with a direct visitor benefit, entrance fees can go toward that.
Having hiked these trails for 5 days, I can tell you more money is needed to protect this park and natural resource. But you won't see any extra updates this year, and likely not next either.
We can't spend the money until we start showing we're bringing in money, so we can't hire a lot of extra people and then find out we didn't bring in any money. So we are working that out, and it'll be a couple years before we kind of get the idea of how much we'll be taking in.
In the meantime, it's up to the visitor to protect this natural gem. It means being prepared, following leave no trace rules, and staying on the main trail. It also means protecting yourself. Along with an increase in visitors has come an increase in accidents. There are dangers that come from a place like this. And when you're hiking on top of cliffs that sit 100 to 200 feet above the lake, some of those dangers can be deadly.
Just being careful on the edges up there and just watching your footing. That's kind of where tragic things happen. People not watching their footing, trip, slip. There is no recovery when that happens, unfortunately. If you fall, that's it.
3 feet of trail until you get to the part of the dirt that is already getting ready to fall down into Superior. It's a very close edge.
This was one of many areas we came across like this. It's easy to see how one wrong step could be devastating. And of course, we've all seen the video from the lake when a break happens. It makes this part of the hike a little unsettling.
We want people to enjoy the park, that's for sure, but we also want them to come away from the park. The same who come visit, we want the same to leave.
We did as Susan said. We paid attention. We moved through the cliffs areas and into our final campsite of the trip, fittingly named Cliffs. I asked Susan if they had ever considered ticketing some of the more popular areas in the park, as other national parks do, to limit how many people can be in an area at one time. She said it's been discussed, but there are a number of obstacles, including land ownership, access, and of course, staffing. It likely won't be happening anytime in the near future. Now, we have one more part to this series. Tomorrow, our final day, we prepare to head home and we reflect on an incredibly impactful adventure.